What's going on, guys? It's your boy Fano here, and in this video I'm going to give you guys a pretty cheap budget loadout that is under $5. I tried to find some pretty cheap skins that looked really good in my opinion, and yeah, let's hop right into this video. Alright, so the first skin I have for you is the Glock 18 Bunsen burner field tested. You can get one on the market for around 18 cents. And it's a pretty popular Glock skin. It has a nice flame pattern to it, hence the name. And yeah, if you're looking for a budget Glock skin, look no further. Alright, so next up for our dual Berettas, we have the Ventilators field tested. You can get these for 10 cents on the market, and for the price, I think they're pretty solid, so I definitely recommend you take a look at them. Alright, so for our P250 skin, we have a metallic DDPAT factory new. You can get one on the market for 8 cents, and I decided to go a little cheap on this item, but the factory new one actually looks pretty nice. It's very clean. You can find ones with a very low float, and I don't know, I just think the skin looks really cool, and for a $5 loadout, I think it's a pretty good place to put it. Alright, so next up we have the Tech 9 Sandstorm field tested. You can get the skin for 10 cents on the market, and you can obviously browse the market to find a different pattern to it that matches your preferences. In this particular case, I happened to find one that was purple, but obviously you can find one that has less purple and more of the shade of pink. So again, personal preference. So take a look at it. It's definitely a skin to consider when you're on a budget. Alright, so for our Desert Eagle skin, I chose the Urban Rubble Minimal Wear. You can get the skin for 21 cents on the market. You can get the factory new version for 27 cents, but I don't think the factory new version of the skin looks much better than the minimal wear, so I decided to save those 6 cents for elsewhere. Alright, so for our USP-S skin, I decided to go with the Forest Leaves Minimal Wear. You can get the skin for a whopping 34 cents on the market. And the USP skins are pretty expensive. Any skin under 30 cents you'll find is probably going to be a battle-scarred or well-worn Forest Leaves. So the cheapest good-looking USP-S skin, in my opinion, is going to be the Minimal Wear. But you could also opt to use the P2000. So the skin that I had is the Imperial field tested. That costs 34 cents on the market. Again, the same price, just a different type of pistol, and you can interchange them, and they'll both be under $5. However, I don't feel like you should use one pistol over the other just because of the skin. I recommend that you use a pistol because you feel comfortable using it, not because it looks particularly nice. That being said, let's move on to our next skin. That is going to be the 5.7 Flame Test Minimal Wear. It only costs 12 cents on the market, and I think it's a pretty nice looking skin. There are so many 5.7 skins out there, and there's so many good looking ones out there, so it was kind of hard to choose. If you wanted to save 6 cents, I believe, you could have opted for the Orange Peel Factory New or Minimal Wear, either way. It's definitely going to be cheaper, and again, it's based on personal preference. Anything with flames I kind of like, so it could be biased, but take a look at it and make the decision yourselves. Alright, so instead of the 5.7 or Tech 9, you could also opt for a CZ75 Auto, and the skin that I have for that is the Polymer field tested. It costs 10 cents on the market, and I think it is the best cheap looking CZ skin out there. You can find one with a pretty interesting pattern, and yeah, it's definitely one of the cheapest, best looking skins out there for the CZ. Alright, so last but not least for the pistol skins, we have the R8 Revolver Crimson Web field tested. You can get the skin for 15 cents on the Steam market, and if deagling is not your thing, definitely change it up in this loadout, and you'll actually save some money. I think it's a pretty nice skin out of all the Revolver skins that are under 50 cents, let's say, or pretty cheap. It is going to be your best bet. It has a nice pattern to it, it's not too worn out, and definitely consider it if you're in the market for a cheap R8 skin. Alright, so next up we have the Nova Candy Apple Factory New, and you can get this skin for 9 cents on the market. It's probably going to be your cheapest, best looking Nova skin out there, so I definitely recommend you take a look at it, and yeah. Alright, so next up we have the XM Slipstream Minimal Wear. You can get the skin for 15 cents on the market, and to me it just stood out. It has a pretty nice shade of blue, and all in all, for an XM skin that I'm probably not going to be using that often, I think it's a pretty good skin. Alright, so next up we have the sawed-off Origami field tested. You can get this skin for 11 cents on the Steam market, and it's not too worn out in field tested condition. It's a pretty bright looking skin, and for the price I just had to go with it. For the Mag 7 I decided to go with the Storm Minimal Wear. You can get it for only 8 cents on the Steam market, and you can play around with the float values to get one that is less beat up, like this one. All in all, I decided to save some money elsewhere for my loadout, so this skin is probably not going to be the best cheap looking skin out there. However, beggars can't be choosers, so I had to go with it. Alright, so for the M249 skin, I decided to go with the Gator Mesh Minimal Wear. I got this skin for 5 cents on the Steam market, and it's a pretty cheap looking M249 skin. I'm not going to be using this skin, but for the purposes of this video, I decided to find an M249 skin that looks nice, and luckily it only cost me 5 cents, so there you go. As for the Negev, I decided to go with the Desert Strike Field Tested. You can get this skin for 10 cents on the market. It's not that great of a skin, especially in the field tested condition, but I decided to save my money elsewhere for my loadout. Alright, so next up we have the Mac 10 Candy Apple Factory New. You can get this skin for 9 cents on the Steam market, and there's not much more I can say about this skin, except Candy Apple for the win. Alright, so next up we have the UMP Carbon Fiber Factory New. You can get the skin for 9 cents on the Steam market, and I think it has a pretty nice pattern to it. It's a pretty clean looking skin, and for the price, I definitely consider it. Alright, so next up we have the P90 Grim Field Tested. You can get the skin for 17 cents on the Steam market, and I definitely think it's one of the best cheap looking P90 skins out there. It looks pretty sick, pretty nice colors, and it also doesn't look too beat up in the field tested version, so definitely consider it. Alright, so next up we have the PP-Bizon Night Ops Minimal Wear. You can get this skin for 5 cents on the Steam market, and if you're into camo skins, then this is a pretty good looking skin for the price. Definitely recommend it, and yeah. Alright, so next up we have the MP7 Urban Hazard Minimal Wear. You can get the skin for 11 cents on the Steam market, and it's a very clean looking skin. It has a pretty nice pattern to it, and for the price, I would definitely recommend you guys take a look at it. If you don't like using the MP7, then you can opt out to use the MP5 Dirt Drop Minimal Wear that only costs you 6 cents. It's probably the best cheap looking MP5 skin out there, so unfortunately you guys don't have that many options. Next up, we have the MP9 Bioleak Field Tested. You can get this skin for 12 cents on the Steam market, and it looks really cool. Very nice colors, very nice pattern. I definitely would recommend using it. If it wasn't a budget loadout video, I'd probably recommend that you guys get the factory new version of this skin, but since we're tight on funds, the field tested one will be just as fine. The field tested version is not too beat up, and it'll have to do. Alright, so next up we have the FAMAS Survivor Z Field Tested. You can get the skin for 32 cents on the Steam market. It's a bit pricey, but I think it looks really cool. It's definitely one of the best cheap looking FAMAS skins out there. Again, we're tight on funds, but we decided to make an exception since it is a pretty common rifle skin nonetheless. Alright, so next up we have the M4A1S Nitro Field Tested. You can get the skin for 59 cents on the Steam market, and it's probably going to be the best cheap looking M4A1S skin out there. So if you don't want to use like a Boreal Forest, then I definitely recommend you go for the skin. But if you prefer to use the M4A4, I recommend that you take a look at the Magnesium Field Tested. You can get the skin for 60 cents on the Steam market. It's a fairly new skin out there, and in the field tested condition, it doesn't look too beat up, so I definitely recommend you guys take a look at it. It's probably the best looking skin in this loadout. Next up we have the AK-47 Safari Mesh Field Tested. You can get this skin for 38 cents on the Steam market, and it's a pretty clean looking skin considering the wear on it. In field tested it looks really good. With some nice stickers on it, it can make it even better, but for our budget loadout video, this skin will probably be your best bet. Alright, so next up we have the Galil AR Black Sand Minimal Wear. You can get this skin for 15 cents on the Steam market, and there's not much I can say about this skin. It's really a hit or miss. If you like the skin, you really like it. If you don't like the skin, you don't. It's only 15 cents for a $5 budget video. I think it's pretty solid, and yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Alright, so next up we have the Scout Acid Fade Factory New. You can get this skin for 41 cents on the Steam market. It's a bit pricey, but I couldn't find any other cheap looking Scout skins, so this is probably your best bet. It looks really nice, and it's definitely one of my favorite Scout skins. Alright, so next up we have the SG Aerial Field Tested. You can get the skin for only 12 cents on the Steam market, and it's probably one of the most underrated SG skins out there. It looks pretty nice, and the skin isn't too beat up in the field tested version. Alright, so for our AUG skin, I decided to go with the Condemned Minimal Wear. You can get the skin on the market for 12 cents. And it's a pretty simple, nice looking skin. It's not too worn out in the minimal wear version. And I decided to spend only 12 cents so that I could use my money elsewhere for guns that probably will not be nerfed in the near future. Alright, so for our op skin, I decided to go with the Safari Mesh Battle Scarred. It costs 41 cents on the Steam market. I decided to go with the Battle Scarred because it actually looks really nice, especially if you can find one with a high float value that's more beat up. It really looks good. So yeah, definitely consider the skin for your budget loadout. Alright, so next up we have the Scar 20 Jungle Slipstream Factory New. You can get the skin for 15 cents on the Steam market, and it's a pretty nice looking skin. You can find one with a pretty low float value, and I don't know, I think for 15 cents it's probably going to be your best bet. For our T-side auto, we have the Green Apple Factory New. It only costs 9 cents on the Steam market. It's a very clean looking skin, just like the Candy Apple, except now it's green. And yeah, definitely consider it if you're thinking about poning some noobs on Dust 2. Alright, so there you have it folks, that was my complete CSGO loadout for under $5 video. Let me know what you guys thought of the skins, as well as if you use any of these skins, I would love to know. And as always guys, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to show your support. Also, if you'd like to be notified of future videos, giveaways, and more, hit the subscribe button below. So until next time, this is Fano, signing out.